Morning, everyone, and welcome to a meeting of the November meeting of the Policy and Governance Committee. I will begin by taking attendance. Avery Gaddis, Michael Jefferson,
Present.
Ojala Naeem,
Present.
Shirley Skyers Thomas,
Present.
and I'm the chair, Edwin Shirley. So we have a quorum. The purpose of this meeting is to look at an updated social equity plan criteria, which was circulated prior to today. So I will open the meeting up. Are there any? Is there any discussion before we? I have a few comments, but I'd like to open it up to the committee if they have any comments about it. If not, then is this? I saw some items that we might need to. I had a couple of questions, and that we might need to correct, if that's okay. Can we put the document up on screen? Is that possible? There we go. Can you make it a little larger? There, all right. Great. Okay, there's just a couple of things that I wanted to ask about. If we look at under definition, section 1, B, little I, I think that we need to put an S on resides.
Okay.
And I think the same thing is true for item 2 on demonstrate. I think it requires an S on that as well. Looks like a verb.
Okay.
All right. Under C, just like to have some idea. The term targets is used. Is that a term of art? Because I was thinking maybe objectives was a better word for that, but I didn't know if targets is a term of art that is used in these circumstances. That's C.
Mr. Shirley, in all fairness, Attorney Matrevi is the person who actually drafted these updated
Okay.
criteria.
Yeah.
But I definitely will make a note of that so that the committee we can have that changed prior to the committee submitting this to the full council, if you like.
Okay. Well, maybe then the best use of time would be to do this offline if we may, because these are not really substantive
Okay.
issues. Just little things that may just be a difference of opinion. So if we can
Okay.
talk about that offline.
Of course.
Okay.
Through you, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
The minutes did not appear on this particular agenda, but you can definitely vote on those if you like, the draft minutes.
Yep. Thank you for pointing that out. I meant to, I didn't. So why don't we take a minute then to review the minutes, and then I will ask for a motion to approve. May I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Thank you. All in favor, say by saying aye.
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 Any opposed or abstentions? Then the minutes are approved. Thank you for that. All right, in terms of the social equity plan, criteria and review process, were there any comments, changes, or questions that the committee had with regard to this document before we recommend it to the full council for approval?
Mr. Chair, I had a question, maybe just a need for clarity. And this
Sure.
is with regard to section 4,
Okay,
the renewal process. Section 4, maybe it's a very last little bit. How are we keeping record and being able to make sure that we're adequately having this review on the anniversary date? Do we have any additional information on that, what that would look like?
Thank you for your question, Councilwoman Skyers Thomas. Not at this time. We are still in, as you know, this is a process that is evolving. So we are in the process of developing a standard report that will be used by individuals who need to submit documentation to have their license renewed at the end of the first year. And so we're in the process of doing, we do not have a standard form at this time, but that is something that we will have very soon. And we are in the process of working on establishing a standard form for that.
Thank you so much. If I could just have a quick little follow-up to that. So from the standard form, we
Mhm.
believe that that would prompt action and kind of get things in movement, kind of get things moving to review this. In addition to a standard form, do we have any other thoughts on what this would look like?
It's going to be on a case-by-case basis. So depending on what the programs were implemented by each licensee, they will have to submit documentation that they regarding progress on those programs that have been implemented by that particular licensee. And that will determine whether or not they've met their the standard for renewing their license.
That's good for now. Thank you. I have a couple more questions, but I know others have their
Sure.
hands up. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'm sorry, is that council, whose hand? I can't see whose hand that is. I see a hand.
That's me, Councilwoman Name.
I'm sorry.
No
Please.
worries. Thank you. I think along the lines of the questions that were just asked, the way that section 4 is written is very much so, must be approved on the anniversary of the date. If we don't have a process right now, we might want to say, something along the lines of by the anniversary of the date of approval, so that we're not,
Okay.
ourselves being forced to know and hit those dates. But I also think that there's gonna need to be an understanding of like, what does that renewal process look like? And then, when do we notify the company? Do we give them a 30-day notice? Do we give them a 60-day notice to file the things that they need to file? And so section 4, I'm just a little worried because again, without being able to say what that process looks like or what is expected at the time of renewal, I just don't want us to set expectations that might be challenging to meet.
It doesn't say in this particular document, and I'm not sure why, but actually there's a 6-month check-in requirement as well in terms of progress prior to the annual renewal of the license.
So we should probably have that in this document as well.
I'm not sure why that wasn't included. Again, Attorney Matrevi is the person who drafted this document. But I'll definitely make a notation to that effect prior to the committee submitting this to the full council. We can make those, we can change those things that are recommended by the committee and then have the draft sent back to Chairman Shirley, and he can circulate it to the committee or however you like. But yes, we can make those changes and have those sent back to you.
Great, so that's gonna be the 6-month check-in, and then just more of a understanding of what does the process for renewal look like? And
Okay.
therefore, what does that mean for when, what is expected at that, at that anniversary date, or, ahead of that anniversary date, or whichever way we frame it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Councilwoman Naeem. I also thought that Councilwoman Thomas was asking whether there was, or what the prompt mechanism was for us in terms of being notified when a particular company is due for is coming up on their anniversary. So that's something else that we might want to add to this section. A description of how we are going to be notified ourselves, how we are going to notify ourselves that a company is due for review, annual review.
All right.
All right. I also had another question on section 2. The criteria for review, there were description of the requirement for three types of persons who would submit letters, and I wasn't quite clear on the delineation between the three.
So Chairman Shirley, you're referring to the community stakeholders interview and
Yes.
letters of support.
Right. There were three types were required. A letter is required from each of the three types, and I wasn't clear on the delineation
Okay.
between each of those types.
Okay, so
Go ahead.
I can answer that for you, Chairman Shirley.
Sure.
So someone who is a resident of the DIA is someone who has lived in the DIA for a certain amount of years. And that can be established by any number of means, by tax returns, school records, things of that nature. But
Okay.
also, if a person is not a resident of the DIA, if they have a connection to the DIA, for example, they attend church there, their children go to school there, that will also qualify as a person who is a stakeholder and who is eligible to submit a letter of support for the licensee. So those
Okay.
are, and you can also have even elected officials. That's another category. State representatives or mayors of the town of the DIA can also submit letters of support for the licensee.
And am I to understand that the requirement is that there be a letter of support from each of those three? So 3 letters, and they have to come from the different the different descriptions that you just gave.
Yes, in this updated version, that is exactly what the requirement is.
Okay, so you couldn't have, for example, 3 letters from 3 different elected officials. For that wouldn't qualify, or just 3 residents of the DIA would not necessarily qualify. You'd have to have a stakeholder. Is that correct?
Yes, according to this version. Previously, you could have a different combination, but in this proposed amendment to the criteria, it has been established that these are the three types of stakeholders that must be included in the social equity plan.
One other question with regard to that.
Yes.
Was that change made as a result of some experience that we had in terms of submissions from social equity applicants?
Yes, that is exactly what has happened. Our experience has been at times licensees just they'll submit a plan, but then the stakeholders that they include, the letters of support from stakeholders, are not reflected in the plan as having contributed to the plan, as having participated in a community needs assessment. So we want to assure that stakeholders who are submitting letters of support have in fact engaged in community conversations with this organization,
Got
and
it.
not just random people submitting letters, et cetera.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilman Jefferson?
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Chair. When I imagine that this document has to be completed by the time of the next round of applications. Is that the idea?
Yes, but to
Okay.
my knowledge, I'm sorry, Chairman,
And- well,
Councilman Jefferson.
yeah, and when is that?
That we are not sure of at this time. We have been, the executive director actually spoke with officials at DCP, and that is not anticipated until sometime in the new year. So
I
there's
can
not.
answer that for you. It's coming up very soon.
What does that mean?
That means it should be in the next couple of months. That's why we need this criteria to be approved soon.
Okay, that's the essence of my question. How
Mhm.
soon do we need this? Okay. I'm just hearing an awful lot of questions, very pertinent questions, and it seems like the document is still in a sort of like, and this is no offense to those who helped to put this together, but it seems like it's still in a draft form of sorts, and there's just too many questions. I don't know if the committee is prepared to move forward and recommend the changes as of today to the full council, but I'll submerge my own opinion about that if the committee is willing to do that. It's a lot of questions here. That's what concerns me. And if we have a lot of questions, I'm sure the full council may have a lot of
Right.
questions. So we might want to give it another, go at it and get it out to not just the policy committee, but the full council again, so that we can entertain additional questions, so that we could have a document that we're all comfortable with for the next round, given the time frame. Just a thought.
Thank you, Councilman. Is it Councilwoman Naeem? Is your hand up?
No, that is not mine. I believe that is.
That is my
Huh.
hand, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Thank you, thank you. Just one more question, and I do understand as we're talking that we might need to have another go at this document. So one more aspect that is not really clear to me is, and as concerning DCP, we're not in this position right now to reject applicants who do not have their social equity plan. If it's not been accepted, there's no mechanism right now for us to reject it. So I wasn't certain if that was contemplated, if that's the expectation, but if I think we should be clear in this document whether or not that's intended. And if it is intended, then we have to go through some other tracks to do that.
Okay.
Could you explain a little more, please, Councilwoman?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So as it stands right now,
Right.
if the social equity plan is not accepted, the next step would be then what for our license holders? Are we now the agency that's licensing them? are we expected to reject their applications? Are we expected not to renew their applications? Are we expected to put a stop to their businesses because their social equity plan criteria has not been accepted? I don't think that is clear. That is not clear. And we're not authorized to do that. We're not authorized to do that by statute. So I'm not certain what the intent is if our social equity plan is not accepted. Does that offer a little more clarity?
Thank you. Yes. So at the current time, are we reviewing social equity plans?
Yes,
We
as
are
they come,
reviewing.
we are, as when they are submitted to us by DCP, they are reviewed in the order that we receive them.
And my understanding was that they are being scored.
Yes.
And if they don't reach a score of 70 out of 100, then they are turned back to the applicant.
Well, it really depends on what's lacking in terms of content, because the checklist has certain items that are absolutely required and certain others that, for example, if you have an issue with your letters of support, that's something that the executive director may decide that we are going to approve you, but with conditions. Um, we'll send you a deficiency notification, but we can approve you and you have a certain amount of time to submit those documents that were lacking. Another instance where they can be approved with conditions is where they have not submitted MBE certifications. One of the criteria is you must demonstrate a commitment to purchase goods or services from certified MBEs. And
Yes.
so that's another instance where the executive director has said, you know, we're going to approve you with the conditions. You must submit the documentation that is lacking within a certain period of time. And it has happened. People are very happy to be approved with conditions, and they have been submitting their documentation. So that's where we are now with the process.
So we're
Right, that's,
notifying. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Councilman Jefferson.
I'm sorry, through you, Mr. Chair. So that's for the new applications, right, and applicants. What I'm concerned, Councilwoman Skyers, Thomas raised the issue of renewal. So help me with renewal if we have to renew an application, or maybe I'm, you know, in left field here. What's the enforcement component of that? So if they come with a poorly written uh, plan, what are we in the position to do?
If
Suspend
they,
the license? What?
you're talking
Help
about
me.
renewal, you're talking about renewal now,
Yeah, yeah,
Councilman
yeah,
Jefferson. Yes,
yeah.
if
Because
they do not.
I understand. Yeah,
Mhm.
go ahead.
No, that is, I believe, our intent. If they do not comply with the requirements for renewal, whether that is producing a report that delineates progress in the plans that the social equity programs that they delineated in their social equity plan. Like, for example, they say, oh, we're going to I don't know, host an expungement clinic. And the requirement is to demonstrate how many individuals participated in this expungement clinic. Another example would be you're hosting, you're donating to a soup kitchen. Well, we need to know how many people were served in the DIA at that soup kitchen. If you say you're donating $5,000 in your social equity plan, but at the end of the year you've only donated 2,500, then that's a problem, because now you have not um, you have not demonstrated that the programs that you identified that would benefit the DIA have
Adhere
not been
to.
complied with.
Right.
And what does that mean for them?
That means their license will not be renewed.
Got it. Okay.
If
And
I
and
may,
what you're saying is that you give them room for correction and to to correct the deficiency, right? I
Yes.
mean, we have that option as well. Okay. Thank you.
If I may,
welcome.
can I
Mhm.
offer a correction though? And
Sure.
with no disrespect to anyone, we don't have that authority to deny or suspend or anything like that. That authority is not given to us. So we don't have those opportunities if they are not complying with their statutory, no, sorry, with their social equity plan. We don't have any recourse. So we should really consider that.
So we don't have any recourse to deny renewal at this point in time.
Yes, sir.
So then you're suggesting then that we should, I guess, propose a statute wherein the Social Equity Council does have the authority to deny a renewal if the social equity plan is unsatisfactory, hasn't reached a score of 70 as specifically.
Yes, I'm suggesting that we do something differently, but I don't know that we'd be able to propose legislation at this point, but we don't have opportunity to deny. So perhaps that is discussed in the plan, or I don't know. I don't know how it could be discussed in the plan, but we don't have the recourses to do it right now. And we don't have the opportunity to put forth new legislative proposals because that deadline has passed on.
I see. I see. So you're saying that the legislation does not allow us the opportunity to deny if a social equity plan is unsatisfactory. I'm
Exactly
just
that.
trying to get
Exactly
clear.
that. Yes, exactly
Okay.
that. Thank you.
I see. All right. Thank you.
But presently we can, in terms of the new licenses, we don't have to accept the application. We can deny the application, but we can't when you're talking about renewal, Shirley.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And thank you for allowing me to jump in. So on the initial application, we have the opportunity statutorily, we're allowed to do so. On renewals, it doesn't speak to it. So it's not.
Okay.
I see. I see. So there's a difference between accepting or denying an application and denying a renewal.
Yes.
So we have the, I see. We do have the authority to deny an application. We've done it. And but we do not have, I see what you're saying now. Thank you for that clarity. Both Councilman Jefferson and Councilwoman Skylar Thomas. Appreciate that.
Mm.
So then
When
what
will the
is
first? When will the first? I'm sorry, through you, Mr. Chair, because I don't think you can see my hand goes up. I'm operating on this
for some reason
phone. When do we have? When do we first entertain? When do we entertain our first renewals?
That information I do not have at my fingertips at the moment. I can definitely research that
Okay,
and get
because
back to you.
that might give that's fine. It just might it might give us an opportunity in the next legislative session
Okay.
to offer that as a change if necessary, because
Okay.
that's very, very important. I mean,
Yes.
when it comes time for renewals, and also that's what we exist for, to make sure that
right.
there's equity.
Right.
Social equity. So that's a big one for renewals, and it's just something we might have missed. It's a gap that we have to close, a loophole of sorts.
I think so, because we presumed that we had that authority, given that we had the authority to deny an application. Someone applying, we'll say, no, we don't like your plan. Now we're saying once the license is granted, if we don't like the plan, we can't go back and say, well, we can't renew. So yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense not to have that authority. So,
Right.
Councilman Jefferson, your hand is still up.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm confused. I'm operating on my
But,
iPhone. So, but one last point through you, Mr. Chair. really raises the stakes then in terms of what we're discussing now, because since we don't have that authority, we have to do our due diligence on the initial application to make sure that they meet the criteria. I mean, we cannot have room for error, just because right now we don't have, once we grant that application, they're in the driver's seat. That entity's in the driver's seat, because really, if they don't meet their social equity obligations, there's not much we can do about it.
At the
That's
current
what I'm hearing.
time.
Right.
Right.
That's what I'm hearing. Maybe someone else knows better than I do, but that's what I'm hearing.
Well, Executive Director Clay has revamped the checklist that we use for reviewing the
Mhm.
social equity plans. It is very clear and concise what the requirements are. We also have YouTube videos, and we offer technical assistance meetings to those who have, for whatever reason, missed the mark in terms of what they have submitted as their social equity plan. So
Oh, yeah. I'm fine with it. I know exactly what you're talking about, and I'm great. That's great right now. I mean, that's just perfect, and we can hold them to it. The problem is, once we grant that application, they're in the driver's seat because when it comes to renewal and they haven't met those obligations and completed everything they told us they would in terms of meeting the criteria for social equity, we have no recourse, and that's a problem. So we
That's the
would have to
problem.
correct that. That's the problem. I mean, I'm not worried about the front end; it's the back end, so to
okay.
speak.
Definitely
Thank,
relay that to Executive Director Clay, Councilman Jefferson.
thank you,
Thank you.
Councilman Jefferson. And related to that, let me just get, just for the sake of clarity, this document that we're currently looking at is a revision of the original one.
Yes.
And does this revised document apply to applications that we're currently considering?
No,
It
because
does
this
not.
hasn't been approved yet. It does not.
Once this document is approved, will it apply to new licensees? I guess
Yes.
it will apply to new licensees.
Once it's been ratified, yes. Once it's been voted on by the full council,
Right.
then yes. But at this point in time, we're using the prior language that was
Right.
available.
So the idea here is to revise the original document,
Yes.
to have it apply to new licensees.
Yes.
And also, the thought was it would also apply to those who are renewing their licenses. But as we've heard, now there's a little glitch there that if they do not meet the requirements of this document, we don't have any recourse once they do have a license. So that it kind of sounds like two different issues. One, we want to make sure that that this document is sound,
Correct.
and the other issue, which Councilwoman Skyers Thomas raised, thank you for that, is that we need to make sure that we need to seek the authority to approve renewals based on based on the approval of social equity applications. Are there any other questions? So at this point, then, I think, let me ask, is there unreadiness with regard to approving this document as written?
Yes.
There's unreadiness.
So let's address that. Why don't we review, is it possible for us to go back, review this document before our next meeting? for our next council meeting, rather.
The next council meeting, full council, is the 5th of December. Is that enough time for the committee to meet and discuss?
I'm asking the committee now. I'm suggesting that we do that so that we can stay on schedule.
I'm willing to do it. If the date works, the time works, I would hope that it's an afternoon special session if we, of the policy meeting, policy committee. Because I'm
Yeah.
facing a hard stop now and I gotta run back into court, but,
Oh.
so afternoons work better for me than mornings.
All
I'm,
right.
I'm okay with that too. I just want to understand who's going to be, because I know Attorney McCravy is no longer with the Social Equity Council. So I just want to make sure that the team has enough time to kind of review, update, edit, reflective of the conversations we've had before we dive into more discussion.
I'm sure Executive Director Clay will definitely make time to review and make the updates prior to the next meeting.
Yeah, I'm
Okay.
just wondering if we need to enlist some help, any kind of legal help on this one as well.
I can definitely relay that to Executive Director Clay if you like.
I think that'd be useful.
Okay.
Also, I think I know I've got a few suggestions I'd like to submit to the staff, and would suggest that the other members of the committee do the same, and then we can take a look at the document once it's revised. Would a revised document be sent to us? I guess we should have some kind of schedule now so that we could well, the meeting is on the 5th.
Yes.
We've got a holiday coming up. It seems like next week this time is Thanksgiving. Early next week that would seem like the only appropriate time, Monday or Tuesday.
No.
So why don't we reconvene next Tuesday?
What time?
Next Tuesday after, we'll make it in the afternoon, Councilman Jefferson, if we can.
Yeah. Is 3 o'clock too late for everyone?
That's fine.
Next Tuesday afternoon might be tough. I'm in back-to-back meetings, but I will try to make it.
Mr. Chair, before you move forward, can I ask a quick question on process?
Sure.
Thank you, sir. Considering that we're going to meet next Tuesday, do we have any understanding if there's additional legal counsel? I know we're looking to get some support in this area. Do we know if there is a plan for legal counsel to be a part of SECA right now? Or if we should anticipate anyone additionally will be able to bring some additional skill set to the meeting?
I'm not in the position to say at this time. I know that the executive director is engaged in conversations with OTG with respect to this
Understood.
staffing, but I'm not sure what her conversations are, the content of her engagement with the OTG, but they are, I believe, in the process of trying to secure a legal counsel for the SEC. But at this time, that's all the information I have.
Okay.
I
Well,
understand.
Well,
this
maybe, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair.
go ahead.
I would just suggest that, the real question is the question raised by Attorney Sky Thomas, is Councilwoman Sky Thomas, is the issue around renewal, and how do we frame this this document to meet that challenge, given the fact that we have no legislative authority to deny renewals that don't meet their social equity obligation. So if the question is presented to the executive director as such, and that's just, relayed to you know, the AG's office or someone there, maybe they could help us resolve that. I don't necessarily think they have to be present at the meeting, but we just need an answer to that. And maybe there's nothing we can do about it for the time being. You know, so
But
that's where I'm at with it.
and in addition, though, it sounds like the executive director would like this document approved by the council to apply to new applicants. Is that correct?
Yes.
So
That's fine.
I think Councilman Jefferson, there's still a need to approve the document as presented, well, with corrections. And then we can address the issue of its application to renewals. I think that's a legislative issue, it sounds like. But in terms of new applicants, I think we want to have this document as opposed to the former one approved.
Let me ask you this, through you, Mr. Chair. If the only issue is the renewal question that would require some legal input, is the committee prepared to go forward with, given the changes already discussed and offered by you, by Councilwoman Sky Thomas? Are we ready to um, bring it forth to the full council with the understanding that those other things will be um, discussed and dealt with in the interim?
I think I know I am with the corrections. There's just some minor corrections that I had pointed out, but that I'd like to see addressed. And I'm willing to approve the document as it stands with those corrections.
Yeah,
Don't know if but
yeah,
So,
because I don't
Mr.
want to. Go ahead, Joe.
Forgive me for jumping in. I was just going to suggest, Mr. Chair, and that Councilman Jefferson made a really great point about having additional oversight for this document. It was drafted by an attorney, and although we are attorneys on the call, we're not functioning in that capacity. So to have an outside view of this document would be helpful. And me personally, I would prefer if we were to keep it to the initial. If we can't move forward with the renewals at this point, keep it to the initial, but be clear in how we've drafted this, or how we are approving what has been drafted.
so you're suggesting, I think that we have we're prepared. Well, we want to have additional counsel review this document before our approval.
That particular aspect, just to inform and make sure that we're on the right page with the renewal aspect of it, that would be my suggestion. That would make me feel most comfortable.
Okay, I think this document, if I'm not mistaken, this document applies to new applicants as well as renewals. Is that correct?
I don't believe so. My understanding is, for purposes, the primary purpose of this document is for licensees who are seeking approval of their social equity plan.
Okay,
That-
well that
That's,
changes it. Yeah.
that's the
Right.
primary purpose of this document. It's just
Okay,
a revision of the prior document that lays out the
right.
criteria, the
And
definitions, it's including now the definitions that weren't there previously and stuff like that, to make it clearer to the applicant as to what's required in their social equity plan.
right, and all right, and that has been reviewed by Attorney Matravy.
Yes, he drafted the document.
Okay, right. Okay, so this is his document, and so
Yes.
with certain just typographical changes, the question is, are we ready to approve this document as it applies to new applicants?
Yes.
My only consideration, sir, is that some of the language makes reference to renewals. So if that's the case, we should eliminate that language. So for example, section 4 makes reference to renewals. And some other aspects of the document makes reference to renewals. So if this is to apply to initial only, then we should just keep the language to initial.
So, okay, so we should, all right, no, I take your point, and it's a good one. Then I think we have no choice but to have this reviewed, have the document reviewed, uh, make sure that its application is only, if we don't have authority with regard to renewals, then have this applied only to new applicants. So I think we're going to have to meet again to look at a revised documents with all with all reference to renewals removed. That's what I'm hearing.
Why can't we simply do as suggested by Councilwoman Sky Thomas, just remove the language referring to renewal, so we're not wasting any time, and bring it forth to the full council, with,
I think,
including the modifications that you yourself, Mr. Chair, had suggested, substantive or not. There are modifications that made sense. So I would offer that, and then bring it to the full council. The full council still has to vote on it. So the full council, will still review and still has to vote on it. So we still have some room for that. I don't think we necessarily have to hold up the process and have an extra meeting just to, you know, to hear from someone who is going to tell us what we already know. And in the end, if we don't have authority to slow up a renewal, to withhold a license, we don't have the authority, and it's the renewal language is going to come out anyway, right? So let's remove the renewal language and bring it forward to the full council with the modifications already expressed.
can we do that without a council review? I mean, I'm asking. I'm not suggesting. I'm asking if we can do that.
The other thing you could do, through you, Mr. Chair, the other thing we could do is asterisk renewal and in the document until we have more clarification on it. And so for the full council, so if the full council is reviewing it, let them understand that the renewal language in there has to be reviewed, and we need some changes in the legislation, or we need someone to give us different language that could satisfy the whole renewal process, which I don't think we can, because if you can't do anything, if you can't enforce it, then it doesn't make any sense.
Right.
So
I,
what I mean.
I,
So
I do.
that's our choice. Yeah.
I admit I have some discomfort myself now with the various issues that have arisen, and so I think we're going to have to send this back with some discussion, with some explanation, and then have the document uh, sent back to us with changes, and then some explanation with regard to some legal explanation with an opinion with regard to the issue of renewals, because it seems that apparently Attorney Matravy felt that we did have authority because he included it in the document. We have now, but we have an opinion that it is not, that we do not have authority. So we need some clarity around that, I think, and then and plus the other changes that we need to do. So I think I think we're better off with a clean document to present to the full council than one that has conditions and so forth.
Okay.
So I'm going to suggest that we table this issue for the moment. I think that you've heard our concerns, and let's figure out a time to come back and revisit the issue with the changes. We need the changes that we've identified and an opinion with regard to the renewal issue.
Mr. Chairman, I move your motion. I move the motion to table this matter.
I
Mr.
second it.
Chairman.
Thank you. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed or abstentions? All right, the motion carries. I want to thank the committee for its diligence here, and I want to thank the staff for bringing this forward. We look forward to working with you in getting a revised document that has gives us a clean opinion, for lack of a better term, on the renewal issue. And so we will be in touch.
Thank you, Chairman Shirley. I'll definitely relay the information of the committee to the Executive Director, Clay. Thank you.
All right, thank you. For the good of the order, any new business? If not, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
All right, thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.